Kobe fam, you've made it to episode 5 of the Week of Leaks, and things are about to get wild, but we're only halfway through our journey. There is still plenty of drama to unfold. Are you ready for the next twist? Come on, guys, let's go get started.
We get more information of leasing different assets to other players.
I mean, I wouldn't say this, I would say, well, it's kind of a boring subject. there's not a lot more to know about it. We want, for instance, you've got a good sized plot and you got players. Let's say your plot's by some area that has a lot of interest to people. Like, this is a cool location, there's cool things to do. And you know what? Players need a place to stay. Very cool idea to put up a little motel where a player can actually pay you and use that motel to stay there and sleep there and also spawn there. So anywhere that has a bed, like your apartment back in the hub, or a motel or hotel that somebody might build on their land plot, if it has a bed, that's a spawning location. Mm-hmm. So that's just one example of something that could be rented or leased, but there might be other examples as well. But that's all I can really say right now. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of that's just dependent on infrastructure and how much we can handle, and make sure nobody's abusing the system or getting swindled, that sort of thing.
They were talking about that there, and trying to get into that kind of broke into a little bit of what we were talking about just before that and everything. But the head and bed is a spawning point, so you could run a hotel near like your crafting location that people could spawn there faster, but they have to pay you to be able to spawn there. Kind of deal. So that kind of brings in another location, but you don't know that location until the game's already started, kind of deal.
I think that it would be a great utility for land plots if you could use your land plot as a spawning location, and that's what it sounds like. So then you don't have to worry about taking the public transport unless you need to transport something specifically. You could just spawn close to wherever you want to be. The more land plots you have, the more spawning options you have. But if a bed is a spawning point, that makes me wonder, because we've seen the camping kits. We've seen some leaks of people camping out in the woods from a distance. If you set up a tent, is that a spawning location?
Industry ones. So like if you build industry ones, there's not a bed there. So is that not a spawning location for you? If you make that
How
an
do you
industry
know that you can't put a bed in your metal shop?
Janitor's closet with a bed in it.
Yeah, you maybe you could put a bed in there.
There's that. It could be that either way, it depends on how they do that. It also would probably not be okay for you to have all of these and they not be spawning locations for yourself.
All right. I think making a land plot a spawning location is just a great utility.
It is. I was saying you could set up a speakeasy and have some beds in the back.
Yeah.
Dual resource.
Well, I think if you look, if you pull up the end game map right now, you can definitely get an idea that there's quite a few plots around, and the towns do spread out a bit. There was some consideration early on, like, why are we building such large maps, right? Why are they so big? Can we do something smaller? Not really, when you've got 2,667 plots per sector, and you still want to have wilderness in other places to discover. You need a lot of space between those things. So, but just to run down, 2,666 plots-ish per sector. You've got 4 districts. Each district has 3 towns, so that's 12 towns in total. I think that's... Is there a data point that I'm missing in a sector at a time?
So you, I think you got that right on.
Of course,
Jupiter.
When walking wiki.
Yeah, walking wiki there. That was pretty much right on there.
I mean, just in case that's what it is, I can answer that a little bit. We're looking at a player cap right now. Could be anywhere from 100 to 300 is what we're looking at, and could be actually more than that, depending on what we do. There's a lot of trickery things that we can do with each instance of a sector that's running. But let's say a bunch of people are going to Solus One, and let's say our player cap is 300. That's when I was talking about the server scalability system. The when you're traveling between worlds, so when you're in a rival station and you go through an elevator, just like we did, a backend system is going to do a few checks and say, hey, who are you? What do they have? What are they doing? Where are they wanting to go? Okay, they're wanting to go to Solus One. Well, how many are we at right now? Oh, we're at 290 people in Solus One right now. All right, let's spin up another instance of Solus One and let's put them over there. So that's how that will work. I think whoever asked that question, I think I gave you way too much information.
So Jupiter, did he give you too much information?
No such thing, player.
Since that was your question.
Here's my issue, though. That was the answer to my question. I think that he answered my question at a different point than when Josh asked it. But this is my only issue. Is if they can fit 100 to 300 people in an instance, and then they need to spin up another instance. My only issue is such a big place possibly feeling kind of empty. So hopefully over time, maybe advances in game technology can increase that number. I've seen one game that is developing in such a way where different parts of the map are different servers, and you go in and out of those seamlessly so that more people can fit. But I'm sure that would have its own problems and probably take forever to develop. But that's been my only thing that's hard for me to wrap my head around. You know, if you're in a place that big and there's only 100 players, it might feel a little empty.
I think that also might have been currently, not like where they foresee when they're going to be out of pre-alpha or alpha beta as well. I don't know anything about
that would be interesting to know
the gaming backgrounds of things, and when you play GTA, are you only playing in an instance with like 30 or 40 people, and you know there are 10,000 instances. That's fine kind of to do in that type of world, but in an MMO like this, you would kind of want to make sure that goes on. But you also have each instance. So he kind of talks, I think, in a minute about the mining and how that's a different instance of the game, and how racing is a different instance of a game, and each solace is a different instance of a game. So you start getting into the thousands and thousands and thousands that can be doing something at the same time, even if there's only one instance of things. You know, but if you have some crazy thing go on where like everybody's like, let's go break Solace 2, you know, I think that they're, you know, around that is where breaking it would be at. You know, when we first did it, would we break it at, you know, 60 or 70 or something is when we broke the servers, when we did the breaking corn?
It was a little over 100, I think.
Oh, it was? Okay.
So that's the max we got in there. It was probably breaking before that, though.
Oh, okay. Biomax, I don't know if you knew that or not, but earlier in the pre-alpha stage, when they first released stuff, they invited as many people as they could to just be able to play at one time to see what their server max was. And the goal was to break the server, essentially. So just if you didn't know that was something we did.
It makes sense. It makes sense, and I think it's awesome that they, you know, reach out to the community to do that, because I think that just speaks volumes to the project itself. Like, hey, this is the stage we're at. We're trying to see what breaks it, jump on in, and then, you know, lets people just jump in and have a little bit of a taste. So I think that's awesome.
I take it as that we're all testers, because that's kind of what we are. Is we're all pre-alpha testers. We're paying to be able to test this game and be involved with it in its infancy, and be able to actually watch the entire thing grow. You know, we've watched it go from UE 5.0 to UE 5.3. And we'll look at that a little bit later on what that really looks like and everything.
Hey, we went from UE 4.
That is true. It was 4 first.
I think it speaks volumes to a project and a community too, that you'll take input from the community and implement it. You know, obviously you can't take every single thing, right? You have to weigh pros and cons, but I think it just means that it shows that they listen and they, you know, use the community to engage and help to grow it, because the community is the one who wants it to happen It just
Absolutely.
speaks.
Ada, here's one thing I would be interested to know is, could they incorporate the different instances as part of the lore? Because we're in a multiverse with different parallel dimensions. What if every instance is a different dimension? I love the idea of incorporating, the actual game functions as some type of part of the lore. Like, okay, we have to do these different instances, so
That's a
let's
good
just say
thought.
this is a different universe.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And if
That's
it wasn't,
really-
and y'all are watching, hey, that was his idea.
and I'm having my cup of coffee, and hey, where'd my cup go? And it's on the shelf behind me because another instance moved it.
Ah,
That would be
ooh,
that would be
spooky
that would be
action.
crazy.
Rift.
I don't know how you'd be able to program that, but that would be it might be actually get a little annoying if that really happened like that far.
No,
Gotta
that's true.
I'm sitting there drinking.
What we do,
You could explain
what
away
we
the
do on
glitches.
what we do on different instances does affect the whole thing, right? If we build something on a plot in one instance, it's going to be on every instance.
That is true.
So I don't know. It's pretty complicated.
I mean,
But it would
for
be
sure.
interesting. I would love to know if the numbers that they're giving are just for like pre-alpha, and if those numbers will be higher. But I haven't heard them insinuate that. I've just consistently heard something like a 1 to 300 cap, and it just feels like a big space for that number of people. What if you have 300 people in one town?
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of plots per town.
that would be a lot of people in one town, though. Like really and truly, 300 people. What would we see? Like 5 or 6 on the top of a mountain, and that was a lot. You put that many people. Yeah, I guess if we have a concert in one of our custom domes or something, you could only limit that at 300. Is essentially what they're saying at that point.
Well, the custom domes have a feature where you pay a certain amount to allow a certain amount of people in, or some type of function like that. I'd have to look at the dome deck again.
Yeah,
but it's like there was like you pay for this, and your dome can host this many people. You pay for this. You know what I mean? Do you remember seeing that?
No, man, I can't say I've ever read the dome deck at all. I just heard something about it and was like, hey, I want to build something in the game, like a game within the game, which is kind of what they were talking about and everything. Mm-hmm. Mine's not the PvP, shooter games or something like that. Mine's on another side of things that you would do in real life that you would want to go do, and stuff like that. So that might come at some point whenever they allow us, to develop in our domes.
Done. Like in terms of like land plot locations and places of interest that are on the map, is there more that you guys have to add, or it's not done? Okay.
No. So, the sectors themselves will always take a sort of continuous evolution to some degree. So there's even some art kit stuff that hasn't been added to Solus 1. Like there's going to be an area that has like California, like redwoods and things like that. So you'll have some special interests that'll pop up over time. You'll have different events that are going on that might affect different parts of the world. As for the land plots themselves, those really aren't going to change. Now there is a few bugs where there was some placement issue with some of those, but we're going through bugs and fixing those. So if you see, I saw a lot when I was watching, I think it was the stream with Jupiter. There was one plot that was like really on an angle.
Yeah.
Looks like it'd be hard to build on. That will get flattened out quite a bit more. But the buildings that you're placing on these plots also have, so they're not totally like traditional buildings. I would say in a way they're kind of like modules that have struts and things like that. So there's going to be some room to deal with hills and things like that, with stairs to get into the building itself. And I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
if they've used other building systems.
Talking about that, Flex Jupiter, he talked about one of your streams and finding something like that. So I like the fact that he talked about struts and how like the topographical set of the ground will, the different buildings that they design will actually show up differently on where you put it and look a little different. So that will add to the difference of things and keep away from things looking so, suburban kind of deal.
I guess it means the plot that I found that had the little pond in the middle of it is definitely a bug, and it's not going to be there.
Oh, yeah, that was probably something they'll remove, but that would have been cool.
Yep.
But that
I was like, man, it's the only one I found like this. I don't remember, but it's on the episode I did with Josh, so probably Solace 2.
Solace 2 is where the electric plant thing is at too, or electric manufacturing plant thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta go find that, by the way.
Oh, you haven't taken my trip?
So
I'll send you the info later, but Ada Ace shows you where to start on the mountain journey.
Oh yeah, I was going to check that out tonight. Yep.
It's a complete walkthrough.
Yeah,
yep. It's a complete walkthrough.
Sweet. I'm gonna get on it.
Warden with the inmates, he was surprised that there's a warden's watch on the Solus 3 on it. So I sent him a couple of pictures just today. I'm like, yeah, look, I was on the warden's watch. I said, did you guys have a little inside thing there? Are you going to create a cell or, a jail cell or penitentiary?
He's going to go get a mythic so he can put his stuff in that for sure. Go buy you a mythic.
What can we expect regarding town and district infrastructure creation? As in terraforming, sidewalks, bridges, tunnels, lighting, and he didn't list this one, but town halls. How does all that stuff work?
So there's some consideration. So right now there's, I guess lore wise, while you're in here, when you're in a town center, obviously it's under construction, right? That was kind of a tongue in cheek thing that we did to kind of give you an idea that things are being worked on there. But in the future, you'll start seeing shops and merchants and areas where people can craft popping up in those town centers. And there is some plan for certain areas for whoever lives in that town to sort of vote on what they're going to have there and to put resources into things that are around that town to actually upgrade those things. You might have a town, and I think I saw somebody that complained about there's no bridges. There's going to be some bridges over certain areas to make it a little easier to get around. Town might be next to a bridge, and it's not a very wide bridge, and maybe it looks a little unstable, but the community that's there in that town could put resources into that and eventually upgrade that bridge to a better, wider bridge. So we kind of want this feeling of civilization kind of moves on, goes through a few stages, but we don't want towns just to kind of be just land plots. We want to see them kind of get built up over time with some maybe slightly different identities so that it would be interesting to run over to Canyon Run. Maybe they have something that another town doesn't have. So you will also have certain specialties in the center of town, and this is not totally confirmed yet, but that's something in the works. Especially for the free player, they might travel all the way over to a certain town because it has crafting ability for something that another town doesn't. So
that was something that was pretty cool on my side of me hearing that we're going to, like, what we're seeing in the Solaces is never going to be the same once we come in and start building. We'll have the ability to change what we've seen so far. The pictures that we'll take where everything is just so empty and everything like that. The game will never be in that state ever again. It's almost like surreal to really know that.
We're super early, man.
Sure.
It is surreal. It's almost like a building as it goes, right? Just as we've impacted the earth in real life, there's going to be impact. That's kind of...
We also won't be able to jump off of 1,000-foot cliff and land on the water and then walk on the water.
Yeah.
Jesus, no more.
You'll have to.
We'll think back on the times when it was all empty and we were walking on water.
Exactly. We'll be able to talk about those times, when we're old and gray and other things, So they also talk about the ability to put bridges and then take your resources and then be able to do things like that to your districts. Those are things that the different guilds that are out there are where, you know, if they get a certain stronghold over different districts, that they'll be able to control things like that. And that's something to give the guilds, you know, things and reasons why they want to work together, and, you know, as the guilds themselves. And they'll want to be able to work together with the other guilds that are out there, because you don't want to segregate yourself, you know, from a certain resource or other things like that. You know, at least in my opinion, you wouldn't want to do something like that. What's y'all's take on it? Biomex, I know that you're kind of in the deal with me and the risk people. I'm in the Mafia deal with them, moving around, doing things, talking with them, kind of a inner you know, alliance type deal and everything. Jupiter, I know you're involved. So what's Jupiter? What's your take on all of that?
Guilds. I'm a mafia man,
Cool.
and I think that in a big multiplayer game, you definitely want to be a part of a guild for a lot of different reasons. You're gonna want protection when you walk around. You know what I mean? It's like schoolyard rules. People know if they mess with you, they're gonna get hunted down by your guild, and it's just gonna be annoyance. So why would they want to do that?
Yeah. No, I
And
mean,
it just seems really fun to have a big group to build up your plots with, build up each other's plots.
Just to know who you're around and be able to play with and all the rest of that, you know, on the non-investment side of that type of deal. You know, on the guild side, you can get into the very investment side of it and whatnot, and then you could just be the player side. You know, myself, I'm more of the player side. I've invested my own stuff in my own deals, kind of deal for
I've
that.
enjoyed on the player side, just running around with groups and kind of exploring and doing stuff together. But I haven't looked into the guilds as much. I probably should make some connections. How you doing?
Hey, Biomex, what's your name?
I think it's Biomex. Here, let me look at my screenshot. I think it says Biomex on there. Yeah, Biomex number 8725.
All right, sweet. Haha, yeah, you got a crazy avatar, like you said.
It's funny with the beard, you don't see the distorted mouth as much, but it made me think of the Man of La Mancha, like the old book. The guy who's like going crazy, but he's also an explorer. I can't. Don Quixote. Don Quixote.
Okay, I'm familiar with
Because he's
the
kind of
author.
going insane in his mind. Like he sees like these windmills as like giants with these arms, and then it's an old book I read a long time ago. Just has some
Interesting.
Okay, your
interesting,
character's
like,
starting to get a little lore going.
Yeah, exactly.
behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A little lore to your own character there. Just kind of like I had ChatGPT help me create my lore and whatnot. But 5 just dropped some major leaks for the Kopi fam out there. But it only gets better from here. In 12 more hours, we're going to drop episode 6. So make sure you're subscribed. You hit the notification bell so you can get it when it comes out. And we'll see you in 12 hours. Peace.